right, so let's talk about giving constructive feedback and why that's critical to high-performing teams. If you want a high-performing team, you've got to have a constructive feedback loop that's going on all the time. And so let's start with number one and the impact that that has. When you've got great communication, you've got constructive feedback, and I want to emphasize constructive feedback, not micromanaging feedback, not feedback that's geared towards some manipulation or whatever, but it's really geared towards the growth of the people and the accomplished outcome. That's what we're talking about with constructive feedback. When you do this on a high-performing team, there are several things that this does. Number one is it holds people accountable. It holds people accountable and it drives them to stay on track with the work that they're doing. And so from an accountability standpoint, if you've got a regular meeting, a regular setup where there's an iterative process going back and forth, and people know that that meeting is on the calendar and it's coming, they're going to do a really great job at the work. They're going to give it the attention to detail that it needs, and they're not going to kind of drift off, because if there's no point of accountability, if there's no point of that constructive feedback coming in on a regular basis, then what happens is they sort of lose sight of where they're going. So number one, it drives accountability. Number two, it helps avoid major mistakes. When we talk about the mistakes that people make, it's usually because there's no feedback loop. There's nobody there that's kind of checking in on a regular basis. Even if it's just a check-in, that is a constructive feedback loop, because what it does is it starts a banter of communication around problem solving and around some of the things that we're trying to build on and to grow within the organization. And so a regular feedback loop, a regular constructive feedback loop, allows us to, again, helps avoid some of these major mistakes that we're making along the way. Three, it betters relationships and it builds trust. I can't emphasize enough how important this is. When you have those regular constructive feedback loops, this is not a let me walk in the door and tell you everything you're doing wrong, okay? That's not what we're talking about. This is about building trust. This is about, hey, feedback to me, kind of give me the information that information on what you've done and how you've done it. Give me some of the results that are there kind of in this constant feedback. And it's also some questions that we're asking. What do you think would be a better way to approach that? Are there barriers we haven't thought of? Are there things that maybe other solutions that we should brainstorm? Are there other resources and people we should bring in? That's help, right? That's help. That's constructive. And so when we do that, it helps build trust amongst the team members. It helps build trust amongst the person who's doing the work along with the folks that they're working alongside. So that's number three, is it builds trust. Number four, it motivates and inspires. The word inspire, you've heard me say this in other videos, but the word inspire means in sanctus. It's to breathe life into, to motivate. You're giving life to something. When you sit down with somebody and you give them the feedback, it's really powerful when you say, you can do this, or we will accomplish this together, or this is something that's absolutely in your wheelhouse, or it might be, let me find the resources to help get this accomplished, or to move this along a little bit quicker, or to help overcome that obstacle. When you do that, this is a really powerful thing that motivates people. They go, man, I want to work for this company. I want to work for the people that are beside me in this, and I want to do a good job. For the manager or the boss or the leader who believes that I'm capable of doing something that I didn't even know I was capable of doing. That's part of this whole motivate and inspire people, okay? Number five, it promotes growth and development of that person. There's two reasons why people primarily leave organizations. One is they don't like their manager, which we all know, and that's the biggest one. The second one is this idea of I'm not being developed. I'm not being grown. And the way I look at it, the way you grow people is you want to give them something that's just out of their reach that they have to jump for, and inspire them to jump, to go for it, and to try and do that. When you do that and they finally reach whatever that is that they're after, it's amazing what happens on the other side. They start to get excited about their work. Their learning curve and the curve goes in front of their eyes. And so what happens is when they're not being developed, it drops, their head pops up, and they start looking for other things. When you have these again, constructive feedback meetings, there's a great opportunity in there for you to do this growth and development, to say, hey, I love that you tried it that way. However, we've done it before over here, and maybe this might work in that place. And all of a sudden they try this and see that they can do it. You're also giving them autonomy and responsibility throughout. You're releasing things to them over time. And again, this promotes growth and development as time goes on. Number 6, and the final one. It has a significant impact on business results, okay? When we have these regular check-ins, a lot of times what I like to do is tell people, hey, just build a progress report. It's kind of like a to-do list, but instead of just having a to-do list, it's a, hey, what's the name of the initiative? What's a description of the initiative? What are the resources that I need to help get it done? What's the deadline that I'm going to deliver it on? And then what's the actual date that I did deliver it on? And that becomes your meeting agendas as you go in. And so as people come in and start delivering against these assignments, we're developing accountability and trust is all going into that. We're helping avoid major mistakes. Building better relationships, we're promoting growth and development. And as we do that, there's this really interesting and significant impact on the business. And that is our numbers go up, our performance goes up, these things on the task list, these initiatives that all lead up to our strategic plan, all get done. And as those things happen, as they get done, our business starts to grow. And we start to see that we have a need for other people. Our revenue goes up, our profits go up, our margins go up. Our costs will usually stay at a pretty significant level because everybody's thinking like an owner when it comes to this, when we have these, again, these feedback sessions that are very constructive and help develop our people. All right, so in summary, the reason we do this constructive feedback loop and we build constructive feedback loops within organizations is because it has major impact on a lot of the things that we're trying to do. So number 1, it holds people accountable and helps keep things on track. If you're in a business where you're kind of seeing these things go over time and you've got all these plans happening, this will keep that on track if we have these regular accountability meetings going on, okay? Constructive feedback meetings. Number 2, it helps avoid major mistakes. We want to make sure we're avoiding those mistakes, and by having the regular repetition of these meetings, those mistakes can be avoided. Number 3, this is the idea of better relationships. It builds better relationships in the organization, and that's what we're after because that increases our culture and that holds on to people, and we gain institutional knowledge the longer we keep our people around, okay? Number 4, it motivates and inspires. It connects what the person is doing to the greater good of the company. People want to know they're a part of something bigger than themselves. Let's motivate them, let's inspire them, let's breathe life into them and make sure that they are able to see that. Okay. Number 5, it promotes growth and development. People leave organizations where they're not being grown and they're not being developed. Let's make sure we're growing and developing our people through these constructive feedback loops that we build in. And then finally, number 6, what it does is it has incredible impact on the business itself. It gives us higher sales or higher income. It gives us higher margins, gives us higher profit, and it has an incredible cultural impact that keeps that institutional knowledge around. So I hope you and your team hear this and put this into practice, and let's go make it a great success in terms of the way we operate our businesses. Okay, so remember, this is all about high-performing teams. And so the constructive feedback loop is one aspect of high-performing teams. If you'd like to understand more about high-performing teams, about your leadership, about how you manage your people, how you get the most out of the people that are working in your company or in your business or in your ministry or whatever that is, I'd like you to go to this website, courses.5capitals.net. There you'll find what we call our Anywhere resource. You can go to 5 Capitals Anywhere on the page, sign up for it, and this will give you all kinds of materials, resources, knowledge. You'll see a ton of snackable videos that you'll want to dig into and help develop your leadership on an ongoing basis.